Hey, it's Megan LaFoca. The chapter that I chose for the week was Justice from Living Vocationally, and let's just jump right in. So, to start, I went ahead and just looked it up in the old Oxford Dictionary, and what I came up with was the quality of being fair and reasonable. What I quickly learned as I started reading the chapter that it's not just about the principles of fairness, but it's a guiding force in how we engage the world around us. I really loved this quote. I think it was in almost the first paragraph that said, "Justice is a virtue that guides our relationships with others by teaching us to recognize and respect their dignity and to give them their due." Justice is central to our callings and responsibilities. It shapes our decisions, communities, and societal structures. It's also not just an abstract idea, it's a lived practice. The text talks about how vocation is inherently linked to justice because our work and commitments impact others. A vocation guided by justice prioritizes fairness, equity, and ethical responsibility. Whether in law, education, healthcare, or business, our professional roles should reflect a commitment to societal good. The chapter also explores justice from a theological and philosophical perspective. Religious traditions emphasize justice as an act of faith, while philosophers frame it as a moral imperative. Thinkers like Rawls discuss justice as fairness, while religious teachings highlight justice as a divine expectation that calls individuals to serve the marginalized and uplift society. It's also not only about large-scale social change, but also just our everyday interactions. The chapter emphasizes that justice should shape our personal and professional relationships and ensure honesty, fairness, and inclusivity, whether advocating for fair policies, treating colleagues fairly, or making ethical business decisions. Justice plays a role in how we live vocationally. The text also talks about how we need to confront systemic injustices that are embedded in institutions such as education, healthcare, and the legal system. Living vocationally means recognizing these inequalities and taking actions to reform unjust structures, whether through civic engagement, ethical leadership, or advocacy. Individuals are called to be agents of justice. So how can we live justly, and how do we integrate justice into our vocations? The text suggests supporting ethical business practices, advocating for fair policies, and engaging in continuous self-reflection. Developing a justice-oriented mindset means committing to lifelong learning, challenging biases, and using our skills to contribute to a more equitable world. But how do we work this into the classroom? I put together 5 things that I think, actually it might be 6, that might be things for us to just think about and how we can be more just in our classrooms. The first is equitable education. We need to make sure that everybody, regardless of their background, are receiving fair and equal opportunities when it comes to their learning. We also need to have inclusive teaching. We need to adapt materials and methods to support all learners, including students with disabilities and language barriers. We also need fair discipline. We need to have consistent and unbiased disciplinary practice to create that just learning environment that we want. We need advocacy for students. We stand up for their rights, addressing systemic inequities, and ensure that they have access to the resources that they need. Also, equity in decision making, modeling fairness, honesty, and responsibility in the classroom to help teach them how to be, give them that moral character that they need. And lastly, encouraging critical thinking. We need to teach students to question injustices, engage in discussions about fairness, and become active citizens. I've seen this in the classroom in my small town quite a bit. We have a large Guatemalan population, and the work that we do to make sure that they are able to access education in the classroom is really, really inspiring, and I think really fits with this idea about creating a just classroom. So Thank you for listening. As we reflect, consider how justice can shape your personal or professional life. The text talks about how it's not just a goal, but an ongoing practice, something that we need to think about and work on every day. So, thanks for listening.